As controversy rages on over the origins of the millions of US dollars stashed at President Cyril Ramaphosa's Phala farm, fresh allegations have surfaced that the head of state and those close to him may have violated aspects of the international money transfer laws of the United States. An investigation carried out by the Daily News into the US Code Title 18 of 1957, which focuses on money laundering as well as engaging in monetary transactions and property derived from specified unlawful activities, strongly indicates that President Ramaphosa and his co-accused are in breach of the U.S. laws.
Now, 2 weeks ago, Fraser laid a complaint against Ramaphosa, accusing him of breaching the Prevention of Organized Crime Act by not reporting the theft of the money. He claimed the suspects who broke into the president's property were subsequently kidnapped, interrogated and paid off to keep silent. Ramaphosa's spokesperson, Vincent Gqeberha, said that he would no longer comment on the matter because it was the subject of investigations. Now, joining us live for this conversation, we have Ongama Mtimka. He is a political analyst based at Nelson Mandela University, Gqeberha, South Africa. It's good to have you join us on the conversation at this time.
Good evening to you and your viewers. Thank you for having me.
Good evening, Ongama. Now, straight with these fresh allegations. Now, what exactly are these violated aspects of the international money transfer laws that are supposedly being violated by Ramaphosa and his associates?
Well, I think first things first, we are in a conference year for the governing party that President Cyril Ramaphosa leads. And since he was elected president of the ANC in the 2017 conference, those in the opposing camp within the ANC have attempted to decampaign him. And because the conference is in December this year, former spooks, among others, have been engaged in a process to try and discredit the president so that he doesn't, his chances of survival come the next conference are reduced. The president has been winning and consolidating power at the National Executive Committee level of the ANC, and also in the elections at sub-national levels in provinces. His camp has been winning the provincial conferences that have set. So and also at the level of government, he's been trying to now prosecute those involved in state capture during the Zuma years. When these allegations first surfaced, there was a strong view among South Africans that it's part of the fight back strategy of the pro-Jacob Zuma camp, who are trying to regain lost ground and discredit the president. Obviously, among some of the things they've tried previously, none could stick, such as this one. This scandal is potentially going to stick in a number of ways. One, it's happened in his property. He has confirmed the theft that took place, but Arthur Fraser, who's a former spy during the former President Jacob Zuma's time, has alleged what you stated earlier on, that the president didn't report the case to the South African police. Instead, he got his protection detail to engage in CIA-style interrogation of witnesses, abductions, as well as methods of investigation that are not above board as far as human rights are concerned. And then Arthur Fraser has raised a problem about the fact that the president didn't report the crime, and therefore we who are looking at these allegations from an independent perspective are saying, even if we understand that Arthur Fraser is a factional politician who has been in the administration of the state, we cannot but acknowledge that, one, there's a potential violation of international laws as far as currency and foreign exchange is concerned, but also there's a potential violation of South African tax laws, because we don't know to what extent were these incomes declared as they should have been to the tax authorities in South Africa. And what has come lately is a potential violation of US government laws. The specific laws were cited by the newspaper you were citing. I just cannot remember it off the top of my head, but it relates to questions around, attempts to hide the source of funds, as well as, exchange control regulations. So, but the point, I think, the reason why that detail would be welcomed in South Africa and an investigation done in the US would be a potential to establish what the source of these funds are. Because if it is as the president claims, it's proceeds from the sale of game, what we cannot understand in South Africa is the preference to keep this money at home rather than bank it and
now,
risk.
Ongama, you've described the person that brought these allegations to the open, the former spy chief, Arthur Fraser. You did call him a factional politician. Regardless of his interest and regardless of if he's being used by the Jacob Zuma camp to get back at President Ramaphosa, there's some things that remain the same. That is the facts. And the facts remain that the president refused to report this crime that took place on his property. He did engage in some CIA-type interrogation techniques, and they also tried to bribe those that participated in the crime from not speaking up. So when you look at all of these things, let's not even talk about international money transfer rules. He has obviously committed these are serious allegations. My question to you is this. If he wasn't the president of the Republic of South Africa, do you not think that the police law enforcement would have concluded their investigation and decided if they want to charge him or not? So what are the updates on it, and why is there such a delay from law enforcement?
Sure. It's only in the past 2-3 weeks that Arthur Fraser opened a case officially against the president with the police. However, what we've learned from recent reports over the weekend were that the Namibian authorities tried to reach out to the National Prosecuting Authority in South Africa in order to determine the extent to which there may have been some criminal conduct. And apparently, they not only did the National Prosecuting Authority allegedly not respond to the Namibians, they also kept this matter hush-hush. Now, that's a cause for concern for all of us in South Africa, because remember, the president has been trying to rebuild institutions, including the NPA, by putting people who are, purportedly no longer captured by politicians. So it's a cause for concern that the National Prosecuting Authority apparently did not act on this information. They are yet to respond to these latest developments. So it would be good to hear whether, even if they didn't talk about it publicly, they've acted on it. And then you raise the point of whether or not the president gets to be charged. I don't believe he would have immediately been charged on the surfacing of the allegations. I think that the Hawks, especially the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation, would establish what the true facts are and whether they've got a case, and they would then take that case to the National Prosecuting Authority. And I think that if the National Prosecuting Authority are refusing to charge the president, then we would know that truly the claims that have been made by the Jacob Zuma faction, that the National Prosecuting Authority are selective in who they are charging, then it would hold some water. Remember, Gbenga, as well, that you've got the Secretary General of the ANC that was charged by the National Prosecuting Authority and needed to resign from his position. So the implications for the president, if charged, would be huge. There would be calls from the opposing faction for him to step aside as per the emerging policy of the African National Congress.
But as you're talking about the resignation, I mean, in Parliament in the last few weeks, we've seen the opposition in Parliament actually booing the president to resign and allow for proper investigations to commence. So do you feel that this will be necessary, and will Cyril Ramaphosa actually go in with the call for him to resign for investigations to commence?
So two things. Before the scandal came out, strategically, before the scandal came out, I wrote an article, and I think it's somewhere on my social media platforms, and I can tweet it for you after this interview for your viewers. I wrote an article arguing that President Cyril Ramaphosa needed not to return for a second term because he needed to end the toxicity of his generation. And if you look at the politics of the country, of the ANC itself, in the past 20 years, his generation have had a debilitating effect on the state of the party. So I was arguing long before this scandal came out that he should consider not coming back for a second term, but rather position a successor strategically to take over from him to continue with the rebuilding agenda. When the scandal came out, I was among the first to call for him to resign on the basis not of the fact that legally he was compelled to resign, yes, but on the basis of the fact that from a moral and ethical point of view, which were the platforms of his campaign, he needed to ensure that the rebuilding efforts are not embroiled in scandal. So the opposition are very well, within their rights to make such calls as well, purely on the basis of the ethical and the moral aspects of this. You don't want the president, the office of the president, to be embroiled in scandal at a time when you need as much political sponsorship for law enforcement agencies as you can get.
Now, Ongama, we've seen that a lot of African countries, especially post-colonial African countries, especially in the SADC area, Angola, ZANU-PF in Zimbabwe, and the ANC have been, winning elections based on post-apartheid and that colonial struggle, independence struggle, nostalgia. The ANC has been embroiled in a lot of scandals since, let me just put it as, since post-Nelson Mandela and for so many years now. How will these allegations affect the popularity of the ANC when they go to the polls? And what is the pulse of ordinary South Africans embroiled when they see that once again the ANC leadership and figures are embroiled in one sort of scandal or the other? Can it hurt them at the polls?
You're quite right, Gbenga. So the ANC grew in each successive election since 1994 up until 2004 when it secured a two-thirds majority under President Thabo Mbeki. When he was replaced by Jacob Zuma in 2007, and Thabo Mbeki became the first president to be recalled once the leadership of the party had changed. We saw a splinter party, and from each election since then, the party started losing votes. And the biggest loss in electoral support was in 2016 when they lost the major metropolitan cities, including the biggest city economy in the continent, the city of Johannesburg, and lost it to a coalition of opposition parties. In 2019, that further loss was slowed down by the rise of President Cyril Ramaphosa, but was not reversed into growth. And then in 2021, the party, for the first time in its history, dropped below 50% in terms of its national average. And we have been warning that come 2024, the party is going to consolidate below 50%, which will mean that it will be unseated. Unlike it has happened, for example, in other parts of the continent, in the subcontinent, where these parties have been able to actually work with the electoral authority to try and keep themselves in power, even if the popular will has shifted beneath them. So we expect the ANC to continue to be below 50%. I doubt very much that they're going to have as much stranglehold on the electoral management body as their counterparts have been in Zimbabwe, for example, allegedly. So South Africa is poised to be led by a coalition government come 2024.
All right, thank you so much, Ongama. While the popularity of the ANC declines, we wonder how the December party elections will be for Cyril Ramaphosa with all these accusations brought forth against him. Thank you, Ongama and Mtimka, for joining us on this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is where we'll draw the curtains for today's edition of The Conversation. To join us again on Wednesday for another edition. I am Rita Omodia.
And I'm Gbenga Aborowa. Thanks for being a part of the program. Bye-bye.